the District Public Relations Committee webinar titled Effective Marketing and Publicity Strategies and Tactics. It's hosted by the awesome party committee, like I said earlier. And let me go ahead and introduce everyone on the committee. Okay, so my name is Jennifer Lai. I am presenting the PowerPoint to you guys. I'm your district publications editor. And we also have the district technologies chair, Chung Pham, who's currently hopefully recording the webinar right now. We also have my newsletter assistant, Carissa Chang from UC Berkeley, and Ellen Chung, our multimedia chair from UCR, and Triana, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, I apologize, from UC Davis Graphics. And we have our three wonderful divisional liaisons, Adrian Francisco, Dylan Sarnowski, and Catherine Ho. So I'll go ahead and continue on with the PowerPoint and go into the agenda as to what we will be talking about for this next hour. So we'll be talking about publicity and advertising and basically the ways where you can really publicize your club and events to your school or audience, your students all around your campus, or just other people with in your club and everything. And we'll also be talking about multimedia and using different, I guess, videos and short ad films and whatnot to really draw in your audience to really get them to come out to these events. We'll also be talking about social media and how to utilize that effectively, as well as graphics and how to make certain flyers really stand out to really draw people's attention and all that. So with that, I will hand it off to Dylan and Adrian, our liaisons, to discuss publicity and advertising.
All right. Hi, everyone. Everyone can hear me? Yeah, hopefully? Okay, good. I'm going to talk. So the first way to really publicize an event well is to know your cause, to know what you're publicizing for. Basically, having knowledge of an event is good, but knowing the knowledge of the cause is even better. Also, having a personal story surrounding your cause and maybe the event you're publicizing for, like something that happened when you went to that event, is a great way to grab attention, not just to potential people to join your club or cause, but also to publicizing it through other orgs and through other tools, just because the more personal it is, the better the message is going to get across.
Mm-hmm. To add on to that, you definitely want to make sure that your event, as much as you want to have people attend, and sure they know that there are, here, I'll give you an example. For UC Irvine, at least, we have an event called Working Wardrobes, where members basically organize and sort out clothes that are in a warehouse. But you have to also remind your members what their purpose for doing all these actions they do. So the reason why they sorted out clothes, for example, is that they're helping out people who want to re-enter the workforce. And they basically had a hard pass. So the thing is, you want to make sure that your message to why they're doing that service is pushed forward as much as possible. So it kind of gives the members a sense of feeling that they have the ability to do a great good through the single service project. Okay. Dylan, do you have anything else to say about that?
No.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Next point. Utilize your school's numerous resources to advertise events or club meetings. So I'm pretty sure that most schools have a poster room or school-wide events, mail servers, and a associated body. Whether you're tabling or flyering, the place that you have your table or your location where you guys are flyering is definitely a good strategy as to advertising. Generally, most people advertise by the central area, whether for UC Irvine's Ring Road. I'm not sure where it would be for UCLA. Dylan?
We have this area of the school called Bruin Walk, which is where everyone has to walk through to get to class.
Yeah, so generally those are the most places that people advertise. And sure, people accept your flyers, but they generally won't read it because they're trying to avoid you as much as possible. But a good way to actually advertise is to advertise to your dormitories. Many freshmen, especially during the fall and spring quarters, sorry about semesters. I'm not sure how well it is for semesters, but I think it works just as well. Generally to the beginning of the quarter or semester. For fall and spring, I do know that for fall, people want to get more involved on campus since they have time. So it's best time to especially advertise to the freshmen who believe that they could get more involved, find out they could continue doing community service if they found out they love doing community service in high school. And spring is also a good time because while everyone else is joining fraternities or other organizations, it's also a good time that they can go up to anyone and want to do community service. Let me see what else do I have. You also, although that posters are generally a good way of advertising, generally they don't attract as normal, or they generally attract just like any other club poster would. So you want to make sure that your poster stands out or any type of form of publicity stands out. Say for example, one of our ways of flyering at Irvine was to create the thing called Take a Smile. Here, I'll post the link right now, actually right here. If you guys can look in the chat box, here was one of our ways of advertising. It's basically take a smile, and then on the back of, after they took off one of the smiles, on the back would be our location of our general meetings and any upcoming service events, etc. It's basically some other way of publicizing besides the general poster. And Dylan, your turn.
All right, so I really just want to re-emphasize the importance of residential communities on campus. Those are really like your best bet in terms of publicizing the club and like huge events that you're having, especially using people who work in these residential communities. For example, I know like at most dorms there usually are what's it called, like bulletin boards or event boards where you can like post your flyers. You can utilize resident assistants. You can utilize people who work in housing to spread your flyers, because generally they're always looking for organizations that students can easily get involved with, and Circle K is one of those organizations. So definitely try and utilize your residential communities. And also for tabling, make sure that your area that you table, make sure that you try to stay consistent and stay in the same area, because that way, should someone see your table but not go up to you, they always will know where your table is. So that way, if they change their mind, they can come up to you later. So that's all I have to say.
Perfect.
So on to the next point, which is communication and follow-ups. Yes?
Oh, no, continue.
Yeah? You hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So communication follow-ups, this is mainly dealing with following up with other organizations and other resources that you're using to publicize. Just making sure that like you're following up with, say like if you're using residential communities, making sure you're following up with the people that you were put in contact with to make sure that they're doing their job. Remember, it's not using them. That's a bad choice of words. It's cooperating with them, because you know, both sides get something out of it. You know, we get more members, and their residents also get something out of it. But also just to make sure that, especially if you're publicizing an event, if you ever have updates on an event, like for example, like UCLA has Pillow Fight, UCSD has Masquerade Ball, to continually like update each other on what's happening, because that way people that they're publicizing to always know what's up. So
to add on to that, definitely what he was saying about publicize your event when you're publicizing your events, especially if it's a community service event or it's a large-scale project, you want to make sure that anyone that you relayed the message to, say for example, if it's a board member or person of the family system or your big system, make sure that whoever plays an important role is also well informed, because each person is able to relay that message to another person. And word of mouth is definitely the best way to get your message out there. If you're speaking with a coordinator, make sure that you automatically get any update possible regarding a service project, or find out if the service project is still continuing, if you're able to keep up with how many people are volunteering. And then if there's any issues that arise with your members in terms of whoever's chairing the event, make sure that you're able to automatically have the information for the coordinator for your event chair. And that's all I have to say about communications and follow-ups. If you guys have any questions, you guys feel free to ask it in the question box too.
And I have one more thing to add. I forgot to say something with the resources. Another great resource for publicizing, which it's not limited to just board members, like any old member can do this, is to utilize classrooms. Because most classrooms have a whiteboard or a chalkboard of some kind, and something that you can always do is go up to your professor or your TA in the beginning of class and say, hey, can I write like the time of my meeting up on the board? Just leave it there, and they'll pretty much always say yes because it's really no harm to them. So definitely utilize not only your board members, but also older members who want to get more involved to publicize, because that's a great way to publicize if they're seeing it in other places besides your table.
Yeah. Sometimes at the beginning of any lecture, you are able to speak with the instructor as well. If you feel that you have a huge event that's coming up, say for example it was a masquerade ball which was publicized to the entire school for them, you want to make sure that you can also speak with the instructor before any lecture and ask their permission and publicize it there too. Like any form of publication is really effective as long as you perform it effectively. All right, publicity techniques. We're on the next slide. Okay, publicity techniques. So we did touch up already on flyering, activity fairs, dorm apartments, other club meetings. But honestly, this is what you have to do to get your message across. You have to repeat as much as possible your message that you want to get out there. So when you want to make sure that you flyer effectively, you want to make sure that if you're getting involved with your activity fairs, you do all the requirements that are for that open house event. Especially if a lot of first years or second years or any member in general are coming out to this event, make sure that you're publicizing it in a good lighting of Circle K International. And say for example, if you want to do other club meetings, external events, you want to make sure that you work with other community service organizations to get involved in the campus. It not only gets your word out there to the community, as you see two organizations working together, but you also get advertised to the people who love doing community service to do more community service. It's a good way to strengthen bonds throughout the whole entire school as a whole and everything. But if you are to do this, make sure that you keep in mind district policies. If there's any issue, speak with your regional advisor about this, or even your club president who could relay the message. Even your LTG can help out, especially.
Yeah. To add on to that, I definitely you can't emphasize repetition enough when it comes to these publicity techniques. There's at UCLA we have this formula where 30% of the people that you flyer to will take the flyer, and then 30% of those people will actually come to your meeting. So it never really hurts to flyer more and give out your flyers to more people, because that increases the potential number of people that will come to your meeting. Other than that, most of the publicity techniques were said pretty well. So, Adrian, if you don't have anything else to add?
Let me think about that. Do I have anything else? If you're were to flyer, definitely, besides just handing out your flyers, if you're able to take someone's moment for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, make sure you just have a good conversation with them. It's probably a general idea, but it makes them welcome a lot more. And especially if you say, I hope to see you at the meeting. If you were to flyer the day of your meeting as well, it's also a good idea, since you could almost make certain that they will be there that same day. And that is all I have to say. If you guys have any other...
There's also like multimedia.
Oh. Multimedia, yeah. We'll get to
Oh,
multimedia later. If you guys have any questions, any other forms of publications that you... any form of publicity that you guys think are effective, you guys can also comment. And then it'll definitely be added towards the webinar later.
Yeah. And then finally, another technique you can use to improve your publicity and advertising technique is to contact us, the District Public Relations Committee.
Yay!
This is a shameless plug, but we really are here to help you guys. If anyone ever has any questions, please feel free to contact any one of us. We'd be happy to help you, help you publicize your club's events, anything you want. And just another note, for district events, we usually release publicity promo packs, which is like cover photo, flyer, and other info and details like a month or so before the actual event. So be sure to use that to advertise because it really helps.
If you want as well, in terms of contacting us, you could contact your LTGs, who will likely be advertising your event as well. But as you probably see in some of the Facebook posts that Dylan, me, or Kat post, we're basically your liaisons who translate your message to as many people as you want us to publicize to. So it's definitely a way for us to, we'll constantly nag you guys in a good way, that is, to make sure that the message is out there. But if there's no questions, I think that's it, and we'll be passing it on. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yay, lovely. Okay, like I said in the chat, if you guys have any questions of whatnot, go ahead and just ask the questions. We'll be answering the questions towards the end of the webinar because we just want to get through all the information, just kind of just pile it on you guys before anything, and then we'll answer at the very end. Okay, so Carissa and I will be discussing social media because it's just we live in a world where social media pretty much dominates our lives in a sense. So I'll have Carissa talk about the first point, and we'll just kind of go about it from there.
Okay, so social media is a really great way to put your event on blast. There's a variety of social medias now since we're in the 21st century. There's Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. If your school hasn't created one of those, for your Circle K, you should. A lot of people use Facebook. A lot of people go on every single day. So it's a great way to publicize your event. And then Twitter, I know some people go on Twitter and tweet a lot. So you can tweet your event through Twitter. And then Tumblr, you can post your event on Tumblr. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, for Facebook, what you can do is when you have a certain event that your club has created or anything of that sort, instead of I guess directly sharing and directly putting the link to the event on your status, you can go to the event page, and usually on the upper right hand corner there's a list of choices of what you can do. You can either export the event or share the event. What you want to do is share the event so they can directly go to the page and be able to see the entire event rather than just sharing it, and rather than just clicking on the link, because that would increase the hits on the event page. And to add on to that, with Twitter, what UCLA used to do is that or at least what we tried to do, was put on, I guess, contests and stuff on Twitter, retweet this tweet if you want to try to get a caption onto a picture or whatnot, or if you guys really want to push publicity for a particular event. That's really one way to do it, because you can get other people who have Twitters from your club to retweet it, and if you tag it accordingly, then it would come up on the search feed, and from there you guys could really, like, other people who who aren't even in your club or something, they can definitely see it and be interested and be like, oh, okay, this event sounds really cool. Like, I should probably contact the person who runs this Twitter to see like how I can get more involved and whatnot. And yeah, like Carissa said, same thing goes with Tumblr. You can definitely put on excuse me, the event on there as along with a lot of other aspects of your club, not just to only like publicize your events, but also to like highlight, like member of the week or member of the month, or just a bunch of, there's a lot of different ways that you can really go about with it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, and then with social media and multimedia, we'll go into that later on because we have a multimedia section. So we'll talk about that. And
I have one thing to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we talked about Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, but one that I just wanted to make sure was mentioned was Instagram, because that's becoming like more and more popular, I feel like. And so definitely it's like a little bit more creative because you have to have a picture with it. But use your flyers, like put your flyers out on Instagram, create a hashtag that your members can use to like publicize it, just because the hashtag itself is like a way that it'll start popping up for other people. So.
Yeah, definitely. And with Facebook, like I said, like we always, like before a big district event, the district public relations committee, we always release a promo pack where, like this previous year, we released a promo pack for DLSSP. Like you see that little Squirtle flyer right there. So you can use that as a cover photo or a profile picture, and just like all that. It's just a really good way to get people really curious as to what event is going on. It's like, oh, like what is up with this like cover photo, profile picture? I should find out more about it, and like all that good stuff. So, Carissa, do you have anything else to add?
I wanted to add that like creating a Facebook event page is a really good idea because you can see like the number of attendees, so you can expect like the number of people that will be coming to your event, and then it's a good way to also like provide more information about the event, including like the day and like the time and the location.
Yep, sounds good. And I know that like some people might get really annoyed with like sharing and spamming all over Facebook. But hey, Facebook was kind of created to really network with other people and share whatever you want to share. So by all means, spam the heck out of people because, repetition is key in like a lot of these cases. And maybe you'll annoy someone enough for them to be like, okay, I'll check out the event, and just kind of go about it from there. Okay. With that said, we'll probably go on to the next slide. Okay, multimedia presented by Alan Chung.
Okay, hi guys. So another way to advertise your club is through media. And media can be like YouTube and anything. So what you want to do is, if you can't think of any ideas like for like commercials like to advertise about your club, you can always go on the web and search for things such as, let's see, one of the really effective commercials that we saw at FTC this year was probably the ones that use the Google concept, where person's typing the letter and stuff like that. So anything that you want, it's always on the web, and you can search for those ideas. There's always tutorials on how to do it as well. So it's even easier to publish your videos nowadays. So there's a couple media outlets that you can use. There's YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, and Flickr. Flickr being the newest one that allows videos this coming year. So what you really want to do is promote your events through these videos. How? Well, maybe describe your event a little, have testimonials and stuff like that, and showing the features, the benefits, and the reasons for attending the event, and showing your members' reactions. One of the videos that I really like is probably the one that the Circle K International just released. It's basically the one that's talking about the large-scale service project that's coming up this year. and it really uses multimedia well, and it conveys the message that they're trying to convey, and to get people to attend. Also with multimedia, you have photos. So photos, you might think like no one looks at photos, but with social media these days, everyone looks at photos. So you would want to publish it on Flickr or Facebook. Facebook would probably be the best idea because people who like it can actually get referred by other people. So they'll be like, hey, what's this photo of this service event? It looks pretty fun. Maybe I want to join. So one of the main reasons why I emphasize publishing photos on social media is because one of the reasons I joined Circle K was because of all the amazing service project photos that I was able to see on the web. And you also have Picasa, which you can use for your website. So all these work with your websites. You just have to figure out how to implement them. And I think that's it. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add?
I think that's pretty much it. Let me see what's that.
All right.
All right, cool. All right, graphics.
Okay, hi everyone, this is Triana. So I'm going to be talking about graphics. Okay, so first, for events, you want to try to have minimalistic and professional art to the best of your ability. Of course, you know, art is subjective, but you want to do your best to keep it clean and stick to graphic standards as much as possible. Like make sure to get like the megaphone in there and whatnot. 'Cause I always forget the megaphone, but try to remember it. Some tips for graphics to make sure like they look as clean as possible and as aesthetically appealing as possible is to first cut down on your words. You don't necessarily need to pack all the information into a flyer when you can just put the bare minimum and then direct them to the Facebook event page or things like that. And then second and third, they kind of go together. But you really want to make the poster relevant to the theme of the event, if it has theme, or to the content of the event. So say you have an event and say it's like really random, but like farm themed. You don't want to put like safari animals, if that makes sense. Like you want to stick to the theme and make it make sense. And then you also want to reflect the image that you want the event to portray. So this kind of comes in with the chair. So say you're not the chair and you're just designing it. You want to ask the chair specifically like what they want, how they want the flyer to appear. Because I know like for DSP and for DSS last year, the chair specifically wanted me to do like a cutesy type, fun, bright. So that's what I went off of. So you really want to, if you're not the chair, ask the chair what they would want and what they want the graphic to give the feeling of and things like that. And then some programs to use, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign. I know those are all generally legally not free, but there are free ones out there, or if you can get your hands legally or any other way on a copy of an Adobe product, do so. But don't limit yourself to online things. Virtually any outlet of art can be incorporated. So I know for DSSS this last year, the chair, she wanted a very specific idea, so she literally drew it out and then I just digitized it. So don't limit yourself to like, oh, like I don't know how to work Photoshop. It doesn't necessarily have to be Photoshop. You can just draw it and then have someone Photoshop it for you, like me. So yeah, I think that's about it for just the basics of graphics. Trong will tell you more about some specific things on the next slide, but does anyone have questions for this specific slide? If not, I'll pass it on to Trong.
Okay, so as you know, graphics is a way to attract your audience to you.
I'm not muted.
One of the more important features is the typography, because the text is also as important as your graphics. So a few things to make sure. Make sure there's a good balance between the amount of text as well as the amount of images. And I included a link below to a site where you could download a lot of great text to a lot of great fonts to use for your graphics. You can't click the link yet, but the webinar presentation will be available in the JCloud. And from there you can download it and just access the link from there. As for how I design my work, there's a specific sequence I use. First, I start with the background and the dimensions of my image to see what kind of purpose it's going to be for. Then I look for images to include into my image and a color scheme. After that, I add the words to, I guess, add meaning to the image, like to tell people what I'm promoting. And finally, I make adjustments and enhancements to the image. Jen, can you go back to the social media slide? Yeah, if you look there at the cover photo, that's designed by Triana. Just to go over the few points that we covered. You see how she utilized the white space to include the text? That's how you can incorporate flow into your design. And you see how there's a variety of text and colors. At the top, you want to emphasize the title of your work, I guess the purpose of your flyer. That's why she put the name of the event on top. And second, below that, she made the text smaller to tell you where the event is located and the date. And under that is all the images. And you see how there's swirls because the theme of the event was Pokemon. So that's just a good example of how you can incorporate theme and text and images into your graphics. And I think that's mostly it for me. And Triana, do you have anything else? I guess we're good.
Okay, yay. I guess one more thing to add on to that. I don't know, I can't remember if anyone covered it already, but having a theme to your event or to your flyer really helps too because it really attracts people. It's you know how our clubs have different themes and whatnot, and we use that to really publicize. For example, UCLA right now is Transformers. So we had a flyer where we had Transformers on it. So people really instinctively just grab the flyer thinking oh, this is something cool involving Transformers or whatever. So this is a really good way to attract people, whether it's Transformers or Pokemon or anything of that sort. But with that, we're going on to newsletters with Kat.
Hi everyone. So your newsletter or your club's newsletter is a really good way to apply what everyone's been saying in terms of publicity, graphics, and everything else. So your club has a lot of freedom and creative liberty with the newsletter, but there are a few things that you guys should have in each newsletter. Some of the things listed would be just a calendar of events, contact information, past events, so things like articles and credits. And when I say credits, I mean you always need to acknowledge who writes your articles or who contributes, because it always brings people back, and then it becomes easier to ask for help in the future. I know what Jen does for her newsletter. She she'll put pictures of editors or people who write her articles for her. So it's just a really nice way to acknowledge everyone. And then other things that appear in your newsletter is basically a representation of your club. So it's best to feature events that you're proud of. So any service projects or socials that you guys really enjoyed, then you guys should put in your newsletter. Going a little more into detail, infographics are a really great way to showcase information. So I'm going to send a chat to everyone just linking you guys to an example of an infographic. It's pretty elaborate, but it's a good representation. But it's just a really nice way to present information. Most of the time people won't go through and read a really, really long article. So if you can cut down the words, it makes it a lot more attractive just aesthetically. And just as important are photos. You always want photos to everything that you're writing about, because many times people will just glance over the articles and then just go straight to the photos or like not look through it at all. So next, it's it's good to like get involved with the district. So if you want to like put articles that you've written into the Sunburst, you can always just like email them to Jen, or if you want to like advertise in your event, you can also use the Sunburst submission form. So you can advertise and everything, and it's a great way to like get information out because the Sunburst is the district newsletter, and it gets sent out to basically everyone. So it's a really good way to advertise. And then finally, once you're done with your newsletter, you can distribute, and each method of distribution will target like a separate age group. Like for example, you won't find a lot of Kwanians on Facebook. You'll find like some, but not like all of them are on Facebook. So maybe it's best to like just email them or print it out. And then like likewise, oftentimes like you can just do an electronic way. So I personally use Scribd, which is just basically an online publication place. And then it's just like a place where people can read your newsletter online. Or you can just like physically print it. And then sometimes you can also like bring your newsletters to like tabling. So if anyone's like just really curious about what Circle K does, you can just be like, oh, here's a newsletter. And then, you know, your work is basically done for you. Oh, and then Jen has linked Scribd in the chat. So if you guys want to check that out later, that'd be cool. So yeah, that was newsletter in a nutshell.
Yep, and to add on to the Sunburst once more, I have received like a lot of, I guess, event advertisements, like for Pillow Fight coming up, and in the past we also had Masquerade Ball. So if there's any sort of event that you guys want to publicize, feel free to submit it. In a nutshell with newsletters though, like I said, like Kat said, putting in upcoming events in there is really crucial, and you know, basically the newsletter, like you can basically pack in all the information, all the graphics and everything to really create that sort of publication that can really reach out to people. Like it's the sort of thing where it's not only your club that's like, you know, looking through the pages or everything, but once you put it out there on the web or out there on like Facebook or whatever, like it's basically free for all to everyone. So it not only represents your club as a whole, but also like CNH CKI as a whole. So just keep that in mind when you guys are, you know, really designing it and putting in like whatever upcoming events and whatnot, because that's really, you know, it portrays like the club and everything. So we'll go ahead and go on. Let's see. Okay, so some final notes in regards to what we presented so far. Whatever you're doing in terms of presenting, publicizing your event, just remember to keep it professional, like I said earlier, because you are representing Circle K International as a whole. Like especially when you're on campus and you're like, you know, you have to like keep in mind that, you know, you're representing not only the Circle K chapter at your school, but also as the organization as a whole. You're like, you know, you're really representing it, and so how you act and how you talk about your events and your club really reflects CKI as a whole. And you know, you just really want to try to maintain that professionalism. And I know we had said earlier that using social media is like a really great outlet to like, you know, get word out there and everything, but you know, stick to traditional email too, because that's always like a really like the most professional way I can think of in terms of technology to really reach out to people. So keep that in mind. And of course, the wonderful thing about publicity and marketing is that you can really be creative with it. There's a lot of different ways that you can really publicize your event in such a way that can be appealing to the audience and not just like super boring. It's like, oh, you know, typing something out saying like, oh, come out to this event or whatever. But just in terms of, you know, what we had gone over earlier, you can use graphics, you can use like newsletters, you can use videos and all that good stuff to really attract attention from people from not only from your club, but from outside your club, like people on campus or people even outside of your school and whatnot. So it's just, let your imagination run wild, but of course keep it appropriate and professional because we don't want any, I guess, creepers just kind of, rolling into your event and be like, oh, hey guys, I like to do this event even though I didn't really know you guys and all that good stuff. But yeah, does anyone else on the committee have anything else to add before we dive into questions for the next couple minutes? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. All right, then we'll go ahead and dive into questions right now. Feel free to add more if you'd like. Questions, comments, suggestions, and all that good stuff. Let's see. Okay, so isn't it difficult to get people to come out to your table during tabling? From what I've seen from my experience in advertising and things such as tabling, it is really difficult to attract attention because people are always busy. Does anyone on the committee want to take that and answer? No? Okay.
Okay, I can answer this one actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for difficulty tabling, it is quite difficult. It's understandable because people are busy when it comes to tabling, so many people will pass you up. But in my opinion, the best way to overcome this is by actually combining your tabling with a fundraising event. Generally, if you sell food, people will just come rolling in a way that, especially if it's food that they want, such as Korean barbecue or boba sales. But regarding tabling, you shouldn't solely rely on tabling as a form of publications. All the things that you've heard through this webinar, it's a good way to publicize your event as well as your club. Try wearing your club t-shirts on your club meeting days or just days in general throughout the week, especially like if you're going to a lecture with 400 students, example, that's a perfect way. If someone sees your Circle K shirt, they'll be like, oh, they're in Circle K, let's check out that club possibly. Selling food, as I said, was a good way. Another thing that Dylan said earlier was make sure that you have the same spot for tabling. If you often have the same location and they know where you are located, there is that slight possibility that they will come back to you, and if they actually have the desire to have a good conversation with you. Another thing that you want to possibly do that could possibly amp up your tabling experience is make sure that your club does something that it's well known for. Example for UC Irvine, one of our public relations chairs has a dead mouse head, and he generally plays music alongside it, so it flashes lights, etc. And it just gets a lot of attention, and then people just come in. But at the same time, as those are really flashy and such, you have to also be respectful for other clubs that are tabling, and you also want to try to still attract members that would be kind of shy from that kind of experience. But besides that, your tabling experience could be also improved through newsletters, awards laid out, such as like those huge banners that have those patches on them, or even t-shirts from all over the district. Example is like if you were to have UCLA shirt from last year, it's a good way that, ooh, it's a very pretty shirt. You should have that displayed as well. Those little things could definitely add up to your experience of publicity. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and to add on to that, like playing music is also definitely like one way to attract people. It's just like it gets you really pumped up because you're like oh snap, it's like like this is my jam. I'm gonna start dancing around to it, and like it's a really good way to get like people kind of like weirded out by it, but it's also take my flyer. I'm really enthusiastic, and it's you want to come to our meetings. Also to add on to that. If there are other organizations around you that are flyering, I would really recommend that's like your perfect time to really like branch out to them. Be like, oh, like if you help me publicize your club, then I'll publicize yours. And it establishes that connection between you and that other club to maybe like have an event together in the future and get together and like get to know each other and hopefully help each other out like over the course of the year and like in the future and whatnot. So, yep. Okay.
Yeah, the first step is trade flyers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, trade flyers. That is definitely key. Okay. For the next question, even though the asker has already left, for Kiwanis events, what do you think is the best or most effective way to advertise an event to other branches of Kiwanis families, such as Key Clubs and Kiwanis and Kiwins? Does anyone want to take that?
I can.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, you want to take the advertisement past emailing, obviously, or like just online, I guess, especially for Kiwanians who may not be quite as tech savvy. So what you want to do is, if you know your local branches well, you want to go to their meetings. So whether it be Kika meetings or like the Kiwanis luncheons or meetings or whatever they have, monthly, weekly, whatever, or even the Kiwanis DCMs or the Kika DCMs or Action and whatever branch you have around you and you want to publicize to. Basically just go to their event or to their meeting. Let them know in advance so they can set aside time for you to present, and then present your event. But you also want to make sure to tweak your description toward each branch. So obviously you want to kind of advertise events differently to like key clubbers as to Kiwanians. So to key clubbers, they may not want to go to something where it's going to be a lot of downtime or they're bored. They kind of want to be active the whole time. So you want to make the event seem really pumped up and really just going to be like really fun and take up a lot of time and like be worth it because they have to like get rides from their parents or whatnot. And then for Kiwanians, you kind of want to do it a little differently, make it not seem like it'll be too hectic or it's going to be crazy kids around, like crazy college kids type. Really official, presentable, like something that they would want to take time out of their busy job days or lives and go to your event. So just make sure to tweak your description towards each branch. That's really important. Other than that, basically just the basics of like telling them at their meetings, advertising towards like key clubbers or the younger branches maybe on social media. And you can try Kiwanians, but I know some of them don't really like to be on Facebook or whatnot. But yeah, so just do your best to really cater to each branch and know the best way to advertise towards them. Yeah.
To add on to that, I would say that definitely what she said about attending meetings is definitely one of the best ways to get your word out there. As we said, like repetition is key to getting your message through. So don't attend to one club meeting or one general meeting of theirs. Attend as many as possible if your schedule permits. Besides going to their meetings, try to come to a compromise with whoever the outreach is for them. If you guys are able to, work on a single event together to strengthen your bond. Make sure that you guys are able to do community service together, like plan an event together instead of just simply having an event that you want to publicize towards them. If you constantly work with them, eventually they'll be more willing to be enthusiastic about your event. It's a way that if you eventually get a good relationship with one of your Kiwanis family members, they'll be enthusiastic about the events that you wish to publicize, and it'll be also an incentive for them, like, oh, we found that working with this organization is very, very helpful in our numbers or helping out with their community. It's generally a very good way to get your word out there. And bond beyond your event, if you guys can. Just having a simple Hello? Okay, sorry, it cut me off right there. Make sure that you, it's okay. Make sure that you are able to bond beyond your event. Make sure you guys just have simple luncheons. It doesn't have to be a simple Kiwanis family member. It doesn't have to be a Kiwanis meeting. It could just be a dinner with your Kiwanis advisor example. But again, if you want to advertise, create good bonds with your branches. It's a definitely good way to keep up everything.
Yep, sounds good. Let me see. Okay, we'll probably go on to the next question now then. I've had some issues of annoying people by reminding of events on Facebook, even if it's just a day until the event. What can I do about this? What is the best time to remind people and not be annoying? I'll take this for now, and people can add on. I am guilty of this because I feel like that's a lot of the time online, but I don't know. one of the it's like it's your event, then like if you're like the organizer of the event, then you can definitely like either post on the actual event wall or have other people like share the event as well to really get them to go and whatnot. Or if people are annoyed with it, they can always hide the the event page or whatever, because Facebook, it has a lot of different like options. Like if people are getting annoyed with it, then they can stop it from happening instead of like hiding it or whatnot. But if it does become like a bigger problem in the long run, I would personally say like, either cut down on it or just find a different way to really share that sort of information, whether it's like in person or have other people share the event or just anything of that sort. But it's Facebook. Like people shouldn't be so annoyed with it. Like that just means that they're on Facebook ever so many times and during the day, and it's chill. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do. So I guess with this, like, my viewpoint on it is that it's never not gonna be annoying, so just do it anyway.
Exactly. It's just it comes up constantly, so it's like a really good way to publicize. That's why.
Like, if you're not gonna do it, someone else is gonna do it. And also a good thing to note is that when you invite people to events on Facebook, you can always notify them that like they do have an option to turn off notifications for the event, so they can still like access the page, but they won't get constant notifications when people like click attending or when something's posted. So that's a good thing to keep in mind.
One more thing, sorry. So in the case that you do want to advertise daily, I don't recommend advertising daily, maybe like every other day, just so you don't get on people's nerves. You could, if you want to do on a daily basis, you could do what something like the FTC committee did, was they had a daily countdown, and it was kind of unique, creative in a way, where they took pictures and had different ways of publicizing it. So like 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days. If you want to reference it, you could reference the FTC event page on Facebook. And it was really, really interesting as to how they did it. They used memes and other forms of social media. So consider those kind of techniques as well.
Yeah, and to add on to that, one of the events that we have at UCLA is called Dance Marathon. And a while back, they had a pre-registration deadline. And what their committee did was really cool, I thought. Their committee would have like a countdown on as their profile picture, and like it just it's tedious to update your profile picture every single day, but as it led up to the actual date, like they had like numbers on their profile picture, and it's similar to what the FTC committee did as well, but it's just a really clever way, and this is like I said before, this is your time, like in terms of publicity and marketing. Be as creative as you want with it. Like really spark people's curiosity for in one way or another, and like just really get them curious about it. And one more thing I wanted to add is that there's no such thing as early publicity as long as you get like the permission to do so, because and there's also no such thing as bad publicity, even though you still want to avoid that. Publicize as early as you have to. There's nothing wrong with that. Granted, it might annoy people. Like it just gives you more time in between the times that you would post like your event or whatnot on Facebook. Like every couple of days instead of every single day leading up to the event. I mean, granted, once it gets closer to the event, you would want to publicize more often on Facebook if necessary, so that people can actually see what's going on. Or if there's a update to your event of any sort, go ahead and tell people. That's like your opportunity to really publicize the event to people as well. So yeah. Next question. When you say that the newsletter gets distributed, does it get distributed to members only or who else? Kat, you want to take that?
Yeah. So I basically, well, for me, I like to distribute newsletters to anyone and everyone that seems like they'll take it. So when I email, I'll email to like Kiwanians, Key Clubbers, of course like our Circle K members. I'll post it on the PR page so like the rest of the district can look at it. Yeah, okay, maybe this is something that I would just do, but I even gave it to my who is it? The advisor for my high school newspaper, because I guess she's like into that stuff. And then it's I don't know, like I just would give it to like everyone because it's it's honestly just like advertising for Circle K, and the more people you get it out to, the more people that like may become interested. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you have a newsletter chair at your school who's like been producing newsletters, shameless plug, but just make sure that they check out the newsletter award, because one of the requirements is to send the newsletter to me as the district publications editor, just because it's like it's on the requirements and whatnot. But in terms of like some people also might have trouble of having enough copies to have like physical copies to distribute. So like Kat said earlier, you can always upload to Scrib and get people to really go to the page and have them check it out and whatnot. Or if you have like some sort of hold on, give me a second. If you have some sort of what was it, like resource where you can actually print out the newsletters, then by all means use it to the greatest extent that you could possibly can, and yeah, just go about it from there. Does anyone else have any other questions that you want to add aside from the ones that were asked? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, I suppose that is it then. All right, thank you to everyone who attended our webinar. This is the contact information for me and Trung. Feel free to contact us, email us at any time. We're also on Facebook a lot of the time as well. In terms of contacting people on the committee, just hit one of us up. We have, earlier on this PowerPoint, we had a list of their names and whatnot. Feel free to Facebook stalk them, even though I didn't really get permission to do so. But if anything, contact me and then I can refer you to them. This webinar is being recorded right now, so this the actual webinar along with the PowerPoint will be on the JCloud by the end of the week or so. That's pretty much it. And if you would, there is also a KFAM webinar happening on Sunday the 23rd at 9 p.m. So feel free to attend that as well. Let me see, there's one more question in here. Hold on. Oh, wait, never mind, not a question. But yeah, so be sure to attend the next webinar on Sunday. And that is all. Thank you for attending, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday evening. Good night.